Here you have the Phoenix ships I'm talking about in some of my other videos. They are depicted in the NAZCA lines of Peru. You can see the shape of the Phoenix here and here. This is the proximity where they're laid out in the NAZCA lines of Peru. They call this the flower, but it's actually like an anchor with a tower. It would be like used for a space elevator cable. This one here shows the tether line where you have the Phoenix body in a geosynchronous orbit, and this would be lowered down to a moon or a planet. Sacrificial animals and even people would have been brought up this ramp into the pod, and then it would have been raised up to the Phoenix craft, the huge abduction vessels, where the Nephilim and Anunnaki got their sample DNAs and resources. Here's the whale shark ship that's on North Pole of Saturn's Iapetus. Here's the rings of Saturn to depict its present location. Here's a symbol symbolizing a portal or wormhole situation, which would be probably linked to a stargate of sorts. I've seen this symbol in Victoria Crater on Mars, and it's interestingly similar to the pyramid and the all-seeing eye in the center. And if you back this off here, you can see the animal shapes, right? And I think they were used to terrorize the locals. And then, of course, you can see how they would have been separated from the body, and then this would have been raised and lowered from a stationary orbit down through the atmosphere. And basically, I'm going to show you one of these pods from a Phoenix ship, which I believe is a lot like this one down here. And I found the head of one of those. A friend of mine, Larry Chapman, has gracefully given me a video from the NASA archives, a still picture from the NASA archives, and that JPEG, when zoomed on, depicts the mechanical head of one of these pods that would have been raised and lowered to a large abduction vessel, something like what was seen over Texas recently. Thank you. Here is the original NASA picture from the historical archives that I'd like to point out. I found an anomaly on there that looks like the head of a phoenix. Here is the beak-like appendage on the phoenix head. Here's his mouth that sacrifices would have been fed into. This would have been dropped down on a tether line from a geostationary phoenix-shaped ship, which is depicted in the NAZCA lines. You can see that there are various things around him, even effigies of cattle. And down here is where the production facilities is. It makes these objects. Looks like some kind of molding going on to make even the eyes look like Jules Verne-like technology. You can see that almost looks like a docking port. I'm going to zoom in on that. A friend of mine, Larry Chapman, made an excellent composite of this, and he put it through a red filter, and it brings out some of the better highlights. Larry sent me this picture very gratefully, and we went over it together, and sure enough we both concur that this is some kind of mechanical device. Almost looks like a Tesla tower coming out of the bottom of it, maybe to tap some zero-point energy resources. Here you have the Jules Verne-like eye and the beak area, and under here of course is the bottom jaw. And this is a zoom in on the Phoenix head that would have been lowered on a tether line from a spacecraft of some kind. This is another fine shot from Larry's red filter sequence, and I would like to zoom in on the Phoenix head once again. It's circled this time. Many people ask me, Dave, could you circle these or draw us a line? And that's what I'm doing here. And this is by Larry Chapman and Dave Beamer. Fantastic find, Larry. Thanks for sending me the original NASA picture of this. And together we've located an anomaly that not too many eyes have seen. And this would have been lowered from a geosynchronous orbit. This is a Phoenix head, probably being manufactured in some facility on the moon. It looks like there's a facility just below that. You can see just under the jaw of the Phoenix, there's a Tesla-like tower, probably used to tap zero-point energy resources. Not sure if it's on the moon or if that was actually on the object when it was lowered towards Earth. I think that sacrificial animals and even human offerings were were marched into the beak of this pod, and it was raised up to connect with the Phoenix ship, which would have been stationary overhead. And I'm not sure if the contents was kept alive or whether they were freeze-dried in the lift, but that's something for the scientists to debate. I'm just an observer going over NASA pictures. I want to thank my friend Larry for this fantastic find, and that together we have deduced that there are some mechanical objects on the moon, and that this is part of one of the features that does also line up with the NAZCA lines of Peru. I'll zoom in on that a bit more. The Phoenix head on the moon.